Hello and good evening. Welcome along to Business Today. I'm Joram Paul Sonko with Winnie Buyinza and Akauchi on for the sign language interpretation. But first, a look at our top stories. Tonight in Business Today, shooting at Parliament Avenue, moneylender killed in cold blood at Parliament Avenue as killer was frustrated with loan increment. Elsewhere, the Algeria-Uganda energy partnership kickstarts. Energy partnership between the two countries begins as the two energy ministries are ready to start working together. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development signs a production sharing agreement in the Turako block and an addendum to the production sharing agreement in the Kanywa-Tamba contract area. And right now we do start with sad news as the country has yet again received another tragic shooting occurrence involving a life that has been lost over today afternoon. Now these issues continue to occur in the country following just another shooting a week ago. Now besides that, the incident happened today at the Parliamentary Avenue at the Ranger Chambers where the shooter, Ewan Wawire Ivan, who is a police constable, went into an argument with the financial services manager, Woodman Badri, which later resulted in a shooting. Now, according to the police spokesperson, Patrick Onyango, the killer had frustrations with two loans he got from financial institutions, which later on resulted into an ugly scene.
We had an unfortunate incident here at Raja Chambers, room B004 at the basement, where a client who is also a police officer came to verify and to know how much he's being demanded. And in that process, we are still analyzing the CCTV footage, what happened there. But according to the available information that we have, is that the client, who is also a police officer, called the PC Wawire Ivan, first came yesterday and met the director or the manager of TFS Financial Services, trying to get the calculation of his loan. How much are they demanding him? Because according to available information is that the police officer got two loans since 2020. The first loan was coded. Coding means it is deducted direct from the source, from his salary. Then the second loan is not coded. He could just come and pay when he gets the what? The money. So they calculated for him, and it was around 2,130,000 shillings. He came back today again, because yesterday he had come saying that the bank where they are paying his salary from, they want the calculations so that they offset all the loans and they see how they progress with him. Either they were going to give him another loan to cover this one. That one was a negotiation between him and his bank. But today when he came back, he asked again the manager the same question, how much are you demanding me? So they told him the amount, and he started arguing, could not believe that that is the amount he's supposed to pay. According to one of the workers who was inside the room, said the police officer shot at the cameras. Inside there is CCTV camera. So when he shot the camera, for her she took off, and everybody who was inside took off. So we still don't know what happened there. We have called our CCTV team to come and try to retrieve the CCTV footage and analyze and see exactly what happened. So the police officer is on the run, but Uganda is very small when you have committed a crime. Anytime he will be got.
All right, a sad day indeed for the business community, and of course we continue to hope that wherever you're moving, you be very cautious, obviously, and this clearly shows that we need to invest heavily in regards to mental health awareness as a country. Now, besides that, we now turn our focus on the Algeria and Uganda energy partnership, which is kick-started off today. Following the memorandum of understanding signed when President Yoweri Museveni visited Algeria earlier in March, the two energy ministries are ready to start working together through collaboration and partnerships that were sealed in 4 areas that included, among others, oil refinery and financing of the East African crude oil pipeline project. We have more in this report.
President Yoweri Museveni expressed his readiness to collaborate with Algerian government in developing Uganda's energy sector. In a meeting, the two countries discussed partnerships in 4 areas, including the oil refinery, financing East African crude oil pipeline, and electricity generation.
Vos décisions lors de votre fructueuse visite et votre honneur.
Your Excellency, we came here in your country regarding the instructions and orientations of our President, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to concrete and to implement all what you have done during your visit in Algeria on March.
In regards to the oil refinery, President Museveni highlighted its significance in solving Uganda's energy problem entirely. This was through his satisfaction in working with Algeria to develop this project, noting its potential to meet the country's needs. He also noted the importance of this pipeline in transportation of crude oil from Uganda to Tanzania and urged Algeria to support the project.
Because if we have our refinery, we refine our petroleum and use it here and in the region. But because the oil companies wanted to export, so we said, okay, we can add it on, although we shall get a little bit less money because the transmission will deduct some fee, but because it is Pan-African, it is for the region. We also like it because it will bring the petroleum of Congo, the petroleum of Tanzania. So it's good, although we shall lose some money.
With Uganda seeking technical assistance from Algeria in developing its energy sector, an MOU was signed emphasizing the importance of reliable electricity supply to drive the country's economic growth.
And we've had a meeting following up on the MOU that we signed when you visited Algeria. And there are 4 areas. One area of the refinery, I've explained the project framework agreement that we are following and the expire of it come 30th June.
The partnership, which focuses on the oil refinery, financing the East African crude oil pipeline and electricity generation, has potential to transform Uganda's energy sector and stimulate economic growth. Bronya Katsime, SMART24 TV, Business.
All right, now, members of Parliament on the Environment and Climate Forum have informed delegates from the European Parliament that Uganda does not need environment to sabotage to extract its own oil, but rather instructions on how to preserve the environment during the course of the oil project, which is about to get underway. Our reporter Samla Hanifa has the details.
Uganda has come under fire from the European authorities on concerns about environmental damage and climate change as it gets ready to export its first oil in 2025. The need for this oil to advance the country's socio-economic and political realms was emphasized by members of parliament when they met with a team from Austria and the European Parliament. They also insisted that no one would convince them differently.
We are in the House. We issue a debate that is pro-people, that is pro-poor, that is promotes efficiency and efficacy, that promotes humanity on the floor of the House. Many times, the issues you have raised here, you would find they are the messages our members carry on the floor of the House. But of course, Parliament as it is, you know that it is an arm of government. And when you are an arm of government, you have your own limitations. I was sympathizing with the environmental alert.
Legislators say that despite the fact that Europe no longer gives Uganda concessional loans and that the majority of our budget is devoted to providing services, Uganda still needs to escape poverty.
An issue of poverty, and it's a big issue. So for us, when it comes to utilizing our local resources, we have to think selfishly, I think. We have to think, and all countries think like that. So when it comes to the issue of exporting, making sure the Ugandan oil is exported, I can promise you that debate, we would like to see it yesterday. We would like to see our oil going out yesterday. And I'll tell you why. As we speak today, we can no longer access concessionary loans from Europe. Recently, we had a loan to finance energy. Almost over 10% of that loan went into Standard Chartered Bank. So we are losing so much money just to get loans. Because we can't get loans from concession, the question is, why then shouldn't we use our resources?
According to members of parliament, they acknowledge the effect of the oil project on the environment and climate. That is why they welcome all efforts in conserving the environment, but known to sabotage the oil process.
We would appreciate if the European Parliament would rather provide solutions to support us other than playing a sabotage. And the issue of Total for me is really an issue of sabotage, to say, if Total, if you are going to insist get that oil, we are going to get you out of business. That is really sabotage. We would have appreciated if there were mechanisms in which Europe can enable Total to extract oil with minimal environmental impact on the populations of East Africa.
The representative of the European Parliament, Mitchell Raymond, has indicated that they cannot stop Uganda from exporting its oil and congratulate it upon this achievement, but they still caution the country on the adverse effects of fossil fuel on the environment and the climate that the world is dealing with.
Europe and, the Gulf states and so on, we're getting rich on fossil fuels, and it wouldn't be fair to tell other countries not to do it now that it's happening. That's not what I'm doing. But still, climate change is a reality, even when it's caused by Europe, the United States, China, and so on. It's still a reality. And if you're fighting poverty with exacting climate change, it will increase. If your agricultural sector is dying under climate change, there is no end to poverty. So what I want to talk about help and so on is Europe, the United States and so on, will have to support and to share a developing strategy that is not hurting you even more in the long term. That's why we support projects like this.
Last year, during the African, Caribbean, Pacific, European Union, SCP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly sitting voted to let Uganda proceed with implementing the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project, ECOP. SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Elsewhere, following the River Katonga Bridge collapse, traders who transport goods from Kampala to Masaka are struggling to take food items to the people in Greater Masaka and Kalungu districts due to the breakdown of the River Katonga Bridge, which collapsed due to flooding. Since many inhabitants rely on matoke, rice and vegetables, among other things, the vendors in Masaka City and Lukaya Town Council have increased the prices of food, which has an influence on people's lives. Now, Samuel Kirimunda compiled the report, and here's what he gathered.
Following the collapse of Katonga Bridge along Kampala-Masaka Road in Greater Masaka, the flooding of the river resulted into hiked prices of foods like matoke, potatoes, rice and vegetables. Speaking to a section of vendors who transport goods from Kisoro and other areas of Greater Masaka, they narrate how difficult it is to bring those goods due to lack of vehicles, which are not there because of the flooding.
It's not all that good because you see, we used to have transport, Irish from Kisoro, we have Irish from Kenya, from Tanzania, and being the Katonga as an effect, it has affected the Kabale, Kisoro, Irish, then that one from Kenya, Tanzania. So obviously it has brought lack of Irish in the market. So plus even matoke, because in Kigezi region and in Mbarara in large, we have matoke, we have cabbage, we have onions, we have Irish potatoes, we have beetroot. All those products are from Kigezi via Katonga. They are all not. As I talk, the sack which were being transported at 20,000, by now it is 30. Not even being 30, at least it would be 30 and it reaches in time. But it is not reaching in time because of...
Before the collapse, a bunch of matoke was at 7,000 shillings. Now it is at 20,000 shillings because the small vehicles that are able to move from diversions and transport those goods use longer routes. A transporter, Abdallah Salam, narrates a story on how they have struggled to reach to Kampala from Nyondo.
Niyo kuva ku Rwevira okweyongerayo paka mpiji lulungi naye lwakuba imotoka zino ziba zeetise nnyo waliyo ensozi nnene emmotoka tezikyavayo kujja eno.
From Nyendo to Nakasero, we find it difficult because we use a lot of fuels and you cannot tell people to top up other money. Vehicles are not moving anywhere and the bag of Irish potato has been at 230,000, but now it's approaching 300,000 per bag because of flooding of the river. Everything has hiked and transport has also increased. If you calculate well, someone who has bought a bag at 150,000 and you added more transport, you end up not benefiting at all.
Naffe kati ne transport ate ne yeeyongeramu kati ogendo kibalabalamu omuntu aguze ensawo kana akasawo akaguze emitwalo 15 agasseko transport wa mutwalo katukidde emitwalo 16 kati agenda katunda ate ajja mu sente ezo. So bwe buzibu buli mu bumonde butomonde bwa bbula. According
to Hassan Midadi, who buys Irish potatoes from Kisoro, government lacks good policy in agriculture and should sensitize people to start growing more crops in such areas with bridges to prepare for certain incidences that may occur.
Maybe I would urge the government, let the government policy also work. If we are an agricultural economy, we have to sensitize people how to grow. We would be having other areas within who could be supplying us with the Irish, but they are not capable because of government policy. It has not at all assisted them. It would have assisted like people from Ruwelo, Guru, they would be also doing some agriculture like of Irish, but they need to have some resources from the government. Like these days you cannot grow without fertilizers and the capital also. We don't look at only, yes, Uganda, we are always putting security in front, which is okay. But security goes with also agriculture because you can't have security when they are not.
Stakeholders believe that government needs to find solutions for this flooding, which is affecting businessmen and increasing transport costs. Kampala City will be greatly affected due to the fact that most of the goods come from deep areas that need to cross the Katonga River, which collapsed. Amlanifa, Samuel Kirimunda, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Meanwhile, the Turako oil block has now secured a license. Uganda's successful second licensing round generates excitement and progress in the oil and gas sector with the signing of production sharing agreements between the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development plus the DGR Energy. Now, the anticipation from the Petroleum Authority and that from the Ministry of Energy and then the Ministry of Finance does grow as this milestone promises increased revenue and development opportunities.
Government established open and transparent licensing grounds for the oil and gas sector, following the enactment of necessary policy, legal and regulatory frameworks in accordance with the Petroleum Exploration and Development Production Act in 2013. The second licensing round was concluded with UNOC being awarded the exploration rights over the Kasulbani block. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda identifies the Chirako oil block as highly promising and expects successful development in this area.
The potential, and so those of us who were working in exploration at that time, we still have a lot of nostalgic feeling for that area. And the work that has been done there has shown very good results, and it has still demonstrated the potential there.
Without having to drill the ground, we analyzed what kind of hydrocarbons we had by looking at the gases in the soil. That work was done by analyzing the soil. Unfortunately, we don't have the services here, so we did this in Canada. When it came back positive, we then decided to acquire more data, and we acquired over 160 kilometers of 2D seismic.
The agreement includes a license covering an area of 635 square kilometers for a 4-year exploration period, divided into 2 years exploration periods. Royalty payments are based on the daily production of barrels of oil, ranging from 7.5% to 20% under both production sharing agreements.
Internal discussion, I think they agreed to have 7.5. That is for the lowest tranche of production. I will not go into detail. I think that is from 0 to 5,000 barrels of oil per day. So if the company is producing at that level, so it will, government will get 7.5 of the revenue from that. And of course, there are intermediaries before you go to the highest tranche, which is 20%. So for 20%, that is when the company is producing above 50,000 of barrels per day.
And thank you for your kind words. And lastly, our operations within the block. We are hoping to get a drill rig in country by 2024 and drill 2 wells consecutively.
Honorable Matia Kasaija, present at the event, expressed great enthusiasm regarding the advancements in the oil and gas sector. He emphasized that this signifies increased funds in the petroleum fund, leading to reduced borrowing needs.
Everybody has been asking, when is the oil coming out? When the oil coming out? One time there was a talk that actually the oil had already been extracted and we were ferrying it away in drums. Then, of course, then nationally, as I said, secondly, we really look forward for this so that I can maybe borrow less. I'm looking for money, nothing else. Money and the jobs. Jobs for our youth, because this sector, from what I've been told, it can create many, many jobs.
So these Ugandans who are representing you in this business went to school. And they have seen us get money before even the oil is out. We won a case in London, negotiated by Ugandans. And we got 432 billion shillings before you touch the oil.
During the event, an addendum to the Kanywataba production sharing agreement was also signed to facilitate the second renewal of the exploration license for the contract area. The current license is set to expire on May 28, 2023. Ronana Habwe, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Business Today will immediately return after the commercial break, so stick around with us. We've got more business stories to come up.